need to get ready for this build is a joiner. Now I don't have money to buy a power joiner, so what I did do is I bought this number 7 Stanley for about $45 on eBay. And this is what I'll use to join my boards. It's the first time I've ever joined boards using this. I actually tried the last time to do some joining with a block plane, which you know how that would go. And I tried joining on the router table, and that didn't work so good. So it was really hard for me to kind of join some boards together without a joiner. So I decided this time, couldn't afford to shell out $200 for a power joiner or a benchtop unit. It would be something I'll have to get down the road. So hopefully this Stanley number 7 will work nicely for me. But I always get worried with antiques, like what is the point where I'm taking too much off? And I think that's what it really comes down to. Maybe I should just do what I can to get it up and running. I'll take a wire brush, clean off some of the loose stuff, but not go too far with it. Okay, here's the blade. You can see all the chips in it. Not to mention, the blade seems pretty worn down. I know there's usually another ½ inch or so of blade, I believe. But this is all I really have to go with until I can get a replacement blade. Hawk makes some really good blades. You can get blades for these older Stanleys, no problem. I don't have time or the money to order a new blade, so it looks like I'm going to have to get this one into shape. So, blade's going to take a couple hours. Now the body, okay, the back end is not too bad. There's a low spot in here, and then there's a low spot from the tip here all the way down. The only way I really know about doing that bottom is on sandpaper on a flat surface. So I do have this big piece of granite. This was for when I was doing Scary Sharp, which didn't work so well. The only problem is the plane isn't really fitting on that block very well. So I need to find a better option. I guess the first place to look would be the table saw. Okay, well, here's my table saw. It's a small benchtop table saw, and it's cast aluminum. It's not cast iron. And, well, it's pretty flat. Now, plane still doesn't fully fit on there, but it's much better than the granite block. And it's the biggest surface I have that's flat. And what we'll do is we'll set this up to go ahead and do some work on this plane. Okay, so what I did is I assembled the plane. I put the frog on, the blade, the chip breaker, the hold down. I think that's what that's called. I'm not really 100% sure. And I put on the back handle. Now, one of the videos I watched that really started to get me into hand planes is an older video that I actually rented on SmartFlix. And it is Mario Rodriguez's planer video, or hand plane video. And he really goes into some details. I'm kind of getting the technique here from that video, though he had a little better setup than this right here. But basically what we're going to do we're quickly going to see where the rust spots are, where the highs and lows are, and our whole goal here is to make this surface completely flat. And basically, it's really taking that rust off. And I didn't think it was that rusted on the bottom, but all those dark spots are low spots on the thing. But we'll just keep going. Blow away some of that rust. I changed out the sandpaper. And I'm still going. I need to get to the gym. But got a while to go. So I'll just keep going. It looked a lot easier on the video. Stupid editing. Two, I'm sure the planes they were working with weren't nearly as neglected as this. Part of the reason why I picked a plane that was this neglected was, well, I'm an idiot. I knew it would take more work. And that's part of it too. I wanted a plane, first off, it was cheap, but I could also bring it back from, I guess, death. You know, something about having something and using something that is this old. It being mounted on a wall in some stupid restaurant, or even, you know, not sitting on a shelf as a showpiece or on somebody's wall in some garage. If I can get one that's in bad shape up and running, then ones that aren't in such a bad shape won't seem like that big of a deal. Okay. This is a lot on top of an already long day, and I don't really feel that good. Come down to something. It's getting there. So I'm pretty much, I think, leaving this like this for tonight. And I'll come back and try to finish up a lot of the body. I think what I'll do though is I might pull the chip breaker and that stuff out and try to clean that up a little bit with a wire brush. So I'll do a little of that before I go to bed. But as far as working on the bottom, I just don't got any more in me. Okay, so it's been since last weekend since I worked on this plane. I was using 100 grit sandpaper, 2 sheets. I was taping them down to my table saw, which is the flattest thing I have in the shop, other than my granite stone, which really isn't big enough for this number 7. So I went out and I bought one of these sanding belts. Now, I just got this Lowe's, and I'm going to cut it and place it down there. This is 80 grit. Yeah, 80 grit aluminum oxide. It'll last a little longer than the stuff I had. So I'm going to cut it, tape it down, and I'll do some work on the plane. Now, it's Sunday, and I had to go camping this weekend, so I stink like smoked cheese. Luckily, you can't smell me. But I figure I'll wait on the shower since I'm going to be out here working. Today, I want to get this planer jointed, or this planer up and running. I need to get my electric benchtop planer that I bought last year during the contest but didn't use because it's really out of whack. It makes trapezoids and stuff instead of flat boards. So I want to get that up and running because I want to get to rough milling this wood today if possible, so it can acclimate for a couple days before I go ahead and start milling it later this week. But I really need to get to that point to kind of stay on somewhat of a track. I mean, it's already the first weekend in October, so a month is down, and I only really have bought the wood. So I was looking for something to cut this, and I really just think I can tear it. Very simple. I'm surprised that it was that easy. And I will go ahead and tape that down to the table. Let me get some tape. Okay, so I put the plane back together. Fits right on that. Okay, it's done for now. I do want to go back and clean it up more, but I think it's good enough to use. You know, I just want to do a little more cosmetic stuff to it. So the base is done. Now I need to move on to, you know, the important part, which is the blade. Okay, this right here is my kind of grinder setup. And to be honest with you, it just really doesn't work that great. It works, and I'll be using it now, but I really want to build something a little better, a little more nicer, a little more easier to whip out and do some grinding on. Okay, what this is basically a block I can use to line up the blade that runs along a track to keep the blade level as I put it on the grinder. It's a shop made grit jig. Just go back and forth until I make that perfectly flat. I'll take out all the nicks and then I'll take it over to my stones. Grind this real slow. Okay, it's starting to grind it, but it's got a little ways to go and I need to make some adjustments. So, I'm going to power it down. And I think that might do it. Let's see. Alright, and it's doing a much better job. Like, I can still hold this blade. I want to keep this as cool as possible. If it gets too hot, it will turn blue and it will lose its temper. Completely ground the edge all the way to the point I took pretty much all the nicks out. Now there's a tiny little nick at the corner here that I would probably have to grind for a lot longer to get out. It's all the way at the edge, and this is just a joiner, and I'll just be joining some edge boards with this for this project. So I think I'm pretty good there. So now I'll go over and I'll have to flatten the back out. I want to move this as much as possible. I don't want to stay in one spot because I'll actually deform or divot into the water stone. I'll keep it moving, and I want to get this back as sharp as I possibly can, or as flat as I can. It's in pretty bad shape. If you're going to get a stone for the first time, I would recommend this 1000, 6000. It's a pretty good jump. It takes a little more time, but if you're only going to be able to buy one stone, I bought this with the money I won last year for the 2009 Sawdust Chronicles Build Challenge. So this is one of the things I was able to get, and I really like it. I was trying to do scary sharp, didn't work so well. So, okay, sorry for the lawnmower in the background, neighbor. So I'm going ahead and making sure I cover the entire stone because the blade is actually wider than the stone. So, ooh, watch. So now I'm going to flip it over. Make that slurry off. Okay, so now we'll load it into the plane and give it a shot. Here's the moment of truth. So it did pretty good. The blade could use some work, but the blade's pretty beat up. The back of it's heavily pitted from rust, and without getting a new blade, I think we're as good as we can do, and it'll do the job I need it to do, which will be joint up the tabletop. So I think we're good there.